to Geneva, to those who are members of Rohingya organizations, for this effort to hold this important meeting. I have been the human rights reporter of the Human Rights Council for 6 years, from 2008 until 2014. And I visited many times the country, and I had the opportunity to be in Rakhine State, and also in northern Rakhine State, particularly in Mondo Township and Putidong Township, as well as in Situé, the conflict areas in Rakhine State. And I'm glad to be here addressing you people, activists, human rights defenders. I used to address the Human Rights Council, talking to diplomats, and now I feel a little bit more, comfortable to talk to you, and also to have a discussion with people who are receptive to even the word Rohingya. You may know that to be in Myanmar and to talk to the authorities, to the national authorities and to the local authorities about this community is already difficult by even mentioning the name Rohingya. So we should be grateful that we can talk freely and openly about Rohingyas here in Geneva in this side event. I ended my mandate in 2014, and the next reporter, Mrs. Yang Li, followed up on this agenda about the situation of the Rohingya, and I believe that she's really committed to raise the voice of the Rohingyas and their situation. Now, to go to specific points of the case of the Rohingya people, which is the name of this panel, the case of the Rohingya. First, there is another word that has been quite difficult for many people to mention, or reluctant, I would say, which is whether or not we are in front of a situation of genocide in Rakhine State. And this has been very difficult and a very difficult issue to put into on the table and to discuss it, and particularly to raise a conclusion. But the mere fact that the possibility of a situation of genocide is taking place in Rakhine State must oblige us to really address the issue. There have been reports out there who mention this situation. In my particular case, I never concretely concluded that we are in front of this kind of case, but the risk that this might be in process again made us and put us in the position to really analyze carefully the facts and draw a conclusion. Now, in addition to this issue, we have a very specific circumstances in Rakhine State that currently are affecting the community, and I'm talking about humanitarian access to very specific human rights like health, education, the issue of freedom of movement. Rohingyas in, for example, Putidong Township face a lot of restrictions to move from this township to another. This has been there for many, many years. And this is affecting the livelihood of the communities, slowly affecting the livelihood of the communities. And the freedom of movement has to be addressed. Now, every time that I addressed during my mandate this issue with the government, the concern of the government was their responsibility to guarantee the security of the communities, to protect the communities from violence, which of course is I would say, is a relevant argument. we need to consider this argument from the government point of view. They have to guarantee the security of the community, of the Rohingya community, but also the Rakhine Buddhist community in Rakhine State. And I had discussions with the government in this respect. Now, to what extent this completely affect the freedom of movement is something that we need to continue addressing with the authorities. The other issue is the problem of, basically the main problem is the question of citizenship. In Myanmar, the government, the authorities, but also I would say the majority of the people in Myanmar do not consider the Rohingya as citizens from Myanmar. And this is a problem because somehow the history about how the Rohingya started to live in Rakhine State has been reverted or changed, and now the allegations are that these are just illegal immigrants. And we have even heard from the current president, Mr. Thein Sein, discussing with the High Commissioner for Refugees. We have heard that he said, these are illegal immigrants. We do not want these people in our country, and we will let these people to go to some other countries, which has been a very controversial statement from him, and from my point of view, not acceptable. There are clear evidence that the Rohingyas belong to Myanmar. Therefore, the issue of citizenship cannot be disassociated from the discussion of freedom of movement and access to humanitarian help and education and some other rights. They deserve, the Rohingya people deserve to be heard about their arguments on citizenship. And again, this is an important issue, the citizenship. The other issue is the issue which we've just seen saw in the video, the situation in the neighboring countries where the Rohingya had to leave the Rakhine State in these boats and found themselves in the middle of the sea, reaching some of the countries like Thailand and some others, and suffering terrible consequences from these countries. And they have a responsibility. Thailand, Bangladesh, Malaysia. We need to address these countries. The situation of the Rohingya now it has become extraterritorial for these countries, and they have a responsibility according to international human rights law and the law of refugees. And this is another issue that we need to continue addressing. And now we have a new government in the country, led by Madame Aung San Suu Kyi and the NLD. And this allows us to put this question on the table, which is there going to be any space in the near future with this government to address these different issues concerning the Rohingya or not? Is the NLD willing to look into the issue or not? And this of course puts the international community in trouble, because the Human Rights Council is discussing the situation in Myanmar. And of course, there is a transition going on, and I myself praise that transition, the process of reform, but the human rights agenda should be kept alive during this process of reform. And the NLD has a responsibility in this respect, and the case of Rohingya is one of the human rights issues in Myanmar that should be there, not only in the country, in Myanmar, but also here at the Human Rights Council. I don't have the responses to these questions and to these issues. I think that only this kind of initiatives, this kind of panels, this kind of discussions will somehow open windows to improve the lives of the people in the country, which, again, I visited a number of times and went to the prisons in Rakhine state and talked to Rohingya directly, and they are really facing the most extreme situation, which the video reflected very well. So I will leave it there and then respond to your questions and hope to see more opinions in this respect from you and comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for sharing with us your findings on Rohingya minorities. As you said, we are in a situation of genocide in Rakhine states, and we really hope that the new government, and the government will take in a serious consideration the Rohingya issue.